Welcome to the latest Secret Influence TV broadcast. So, today I'm talking about information and misinformation. The more source of information we have, the harder it is to know what to believe is true and accurate. And at the moment of coronavirus, it's a worrying time. There's a lot of fear and anxiety, understandably, and the situation is changing all the time. So, government policy, the Corona Act, the passing through the restrictions and the guidance. It's important we know what they are, important we follow them, but it's also important to know what exactly is to do. There's no confusion. And I think there is a lot of there's been a lot of confusion in messages, and there's also been actually a lot of fake news around the coronavirus and in conspiracy theories on the internet, social media, which is hard to believe, or easy to believe even sometimes. So there are more channels of media and more sources of information ever before in history. We are in the era of mass distraction. Social media channels have spiraled exponentially. There are thousands and thousands of social media channels and apps more being created all the time. We're also in an era of self-publishing content creation. So anyone can start their own TV channel on YouTube. Anyone else can share video content on Vimeo or YouTube. Anyone can write a blog. Anyone can self-publish a book and put it on Amazon. Anyone can do their own radio station or podcast. It is the era of anyone having that ability to share their message or their knowledge with the world. We can all be presenters, authors, writers, speakers of our ideas. And the channels are growing. So we've got the traditional channels still of newspapers, books, television, radio, but we've also got social media, apps, WhatsApp discussions, messaging systems, videos and blogs. We live in an era of mass distraction, mass information, and our attention span's going down less. And sometimes it is hard to make a decision over what's accurate, what's not. So what I'm going to do in this broadcast is share some of the ways that we can tell what is an accurate source information and what's not. How can we tell? How can we see what is true, what's not? And my top 5 tips for making sure that you're not confused or misled by sort of fake news. So, a very topical subject at the moment, with fake news, a term only coming into existence sort of in the last sort of couple of years and now being used all the time. There's been a certain amount of information, misinformation, rumours about the start, causes, and effects of, and how to manage the coronavirus, what's happening and why, how to fix it. But the thing is with fake news is there's always consequences. The consequence of every action there's a reaction. And if people followed wrong advice or ignore right advice, then people can get more ill. It can spread more. It can do more harm than good. So the first point I'd like to put across is when you're looking at information, first thing to consider is what is the source. So is it genuine? Is it credible? Is it reliable? Who is it? It seems quite obvious, but even if not everyone likes the government and everyone agrees and everyone voted them in, people have different opinions, different media channels, but there's no doubt that the World Health Organization is seen as a well-established, credible World Health Organization, World Health Authority. The NHS, again, different opinions, different challenges, different views in it, but a most credible source of health advice in the UK. And even the government, again, there's different opinions about it, but they give, in these situations, we have to trust, that the information they give us is for our own benefit. That's true. And it's certainly, if we're looking at sources, information from the NHS or World Health Organization is going to be more reliable than ones from social media posts or forwarded on from friends. So if any information or opinion, there's an element of who do we trust, who's more reliable. BBC, it's got a very good reputation worldwide as a source of news and information. There's that whole context of being impartial, and that's why they don't have the abject advertising. They're meant to be objective. That's the whole reason they run as they do. So In life, to influence anyone in business, there's a saying that, if you want to get sales and build customers to clients, you need to get your audience, your potential clients, customers to know, like, and trust you. And it's the same with getting information. Do you know them? Do you like them? Do you trust them? What is the source? So, if you in business and you've got this cold audience, you want to make them a warm audience. You want to get their interest, and you want to make them that funnel to their loyalty, and they're buying your product, service, listening to you all the time. And how you do that is by getting them to know you, get on the radar. This is who I am. Build a relationship, get them to engage. Then they start to trust you, trust what you say, trust what you do, and then you like it. That's it. You get them to like you more and more and more, and build a relationship. And it's the same with information. Look at your source. Do I know them? Are they someone I've heard of before? Yeah. Or are they some new website, some new group on Facebook? You don't really know who they are. Do you trust what they say? Do you like what they say? Does it fit in with your own mindset, your own sort of experiences? So, does it make sense from your own perspective? That's my second point. The sort of gut reaction thing. There's been a lot of research about reacting straight away when making decisions, and how our gut reaction, our automatic instinct, is often true. And we're into a society where we deliberate more and more. We take longer to make decisions because we've got so many factors, so much information bombarded. But actually, sometimes a good starting point is: does this make sense? Does this fit in? What's my gut feeling here? If something's not quite right, then definitely ask questions, look into it deeper, and start doing a bit more checking. The third one is there any other source you can cross check the facts with? So if one source, even a credible one, comes up and says, you have to do this to keep yourself healthy. If anyone's saying it, and all the other websites and news channels are saying, don't do that, and obviously there's a bit of an issue there. But if one source says you need to do this, and then other sources also back it up and say the same thing, then it adds to and reinforces to that belief that must be correct. The fourth point is, remember that all information is subjective to an extent, and there's always a fact, the context, the effect it has, an emotion associated with it. So by that I mean coronavirus, for example, is spread by coughing, sneezing, or touching infected surfaces, and then touching your eyes or your mouth, your nose. And that's a fact. That's how it's transmitted. The context and effect is knowing this fact, we've affected our behavior. So now it's affected how we interact, social distancing, it's affected how we dress, how we wear masks, whether we wear a scarf around our face, whether we self-isolate, how we communicate, not over the phone or video phone conferencing rather than face to face, how we socialize, working from home. The effect of this fact is like a chain journey, that you have a fact and then you have effect of a fact, and it's all about context. So if we hear different people hear a fact, they might react. The effect might be different depending on the context of what their job is, their age, their culture. And lastly, the emotion. So some people might be reassured by that fact. So knowing that fact, they think, oh, I'm reassured because I've got that knowledge that it's spread by coughing, sneezing. So as long as I keep a social distance, I wear a mask, I'll be okay. Knowledge is power. Other people might be a bit of the opposite and think, well, knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is fear. Like the uncertainty of what will happen now, the risk factors, the risks going up, so much. The extra safety precautions you have to take, it can push down and cause that stress. So there's always an emotional response to everything in life, and that's what determines your actions and consequences of those actions. So there's a fact. In this example, coronavirus is spread by. There's effect of that fact. What does it? How does it change behaviour? And that's within certain contexts. And then the emotion associated. It could be positive or negative. So I think it's important to understand that model of facts, effect, the context, and emotion. The coronavirus is not the flu, clearly not, but they're both viruses. And actually, there's a lot of similarities, and this is what was one big discussion beginning. So both viruses are spread the same way through coughing, sneezing, touching and inserting a nose. They're both highly infectious. If you have a flu, you need to every the normal seasonal flu. You shouldn't go to work. You should isolate yourself because it is highly infectious. A seasonal flu that we have in the UK kills up to 500,000 people around the world. It's huge numbers. That's a World Health Organization statistic. Up to 10,000 in the UK. Mostly, obviously, vulnerable people and old people, but it's highly infectious, and it does make a lot of people seriously ill, and a lot of people die. If you have a flu, a normal healthy person can have it for up to 3 weeks. So anyone with a normal flu should isolate, and also a lot of the symptoms, are quite similar. So, if you have a flu, you can be tired, have a cough, have a temperature, feel weak, and that's similar to the coronavirus. So, in both of those, you need to take the same sensible precautions. So, self-isolate, drink, lots of fluids, eat healthily, need a strong immune system, take vitamin supplements, etc. So, whatever the actual truth of how serious it is and what caused it, and how we stop it. And so, sometimes there is always still some core information there that is relevant, to any health condition, so it can still apply. So that's sensible precautions. So however much information we get about the coronavirus changes and develops and grows, there's still points that we will know won't change, and that is that those who have a healthy immune system are less likely to get the symptoms, are less likely to get it, less likely to recover quicker. There's around 80% will get mild symptoms. So if we can stay as healthy as we can and avoid people who have it, then we're in the highest chances of getting through it. So that's a basic, whatever the situation. So on the scale of misinformation, there's a scale which I've devised myself, a secret influence scale, and it's a 5-step scale. So the first point or step is where number one, it's a 1 level. So there's a few genuine errors made in the information. It could be an article, something written, there's a few mistakes. It's not intentional, it's just a few. The second level of misinformation is where there's lots of errors, and it's not been checked properly. It's not intentional still, but the content is being pumped out with lots of errors, lots of inaccuracies, and that having a bigger knock-on effect. Still not intentional. The third level of misinformation is where it's a deliberate use of misinformation. So it's a low level, it's a bit sensationalism. So it could be a misleading headline or fact, perhaps to increase the readership or subscribers. We use a little bit of sensationalist, perhaps like old Sun newspaper used to do. The fourth level is where it's actually a bit more strategic or planned, and it's where you're actually writing some fake news deliberately. You're trying to reach a wide audience using several channels. And the fifth level of misinformation is conspiracy theories, where you're creating a whole new theory around the reason something happened, and it may be evidence, you're providing evidence or maybe not, but it's in a big mass scale. The fake news can be an alternative truth. You're posing a totally alternative reality for something that's happened, or it could be just disagreeing with established truth with no counter evidence. I was looking at Telegraph online, and they had 10 top corona conspiracies, and I just thought I'd share those, just to show the variety of different conspiracy theories around it, and fact or not, they are false. So one, when it first happened, people were saying, should we where we're getting any packages from China? And that's false, because the World Health Organization tested it, and they said by the time packages arrived in the West, in the UK, the virus would be dead. It wouldn't survive. So that was a false conspiracy theory that was quite popular when the coronavirus first came on our radar. Second one, quite an interesting one, cocaine can kill the coronavirus. The French Ministry of Health has forced to squash these rumours because it was believed that cocaine killed the virus, and false stories began to circulate online. Alcohol can kill the coronavirus. totally false, cannot help at all. Hand dryers, heat for hand dryers kill coronavirus. That's false. Only washing thoroughly with a soap cleanser or using antibacterial wipe will help with that. Hand dryers don't help at all coronavirus. The fifth conspiracy theory, spraying alcohol or chlorine all over your body will kill coronavirus. Totally false. It's only what it's done to chickens in certain industries. Chlorine cleansing will not help you. In fact, probably make you ill because it burn your nostrils. Drinking certain mineral solutions, certain mineral cures kill the virus. Well, that's false because there are no cures at the moment anyway. Eating garlic will prevent infection with new coronavirus. Well, that's false. Garlic is super good for you and it does have some antibiotic properties, but won't help coronavirus. 8, this is a recent one that's getting quite popular and on social media, that is coronavirus was leaked from a high security lab in Wuhan in China, and China trying to cover it up. So it's not from the bat, which is what the accepted start it was. But the truth is that's false. It's about as likely as the Salisbury Novichok attack happening from the government's laboratory falling down. So it's like all the other big viruses happened in the last century: Spanish flu, HIV, Ebola. They all jump from animals to humans. It's the same origin. So that is false. 9, salt washes, salt rinses, mouthwashes can help prevent infection. Totally false. And 10, covering up with DIY masks and protection is a good idea. Well, again, a bit false. So, if you're going to really be effective, you've got to have a proper good quality mask because your nose and mouth is totally sealed. And also, you're changing the filter every day. You really need this proper surgical designed mask. These cheap masks, not that effective. And if you're using again and again, you're at a high risk of the filter being blocked or you're breathing in actually over time the virus is coming through. So paper masks have gone through the roof, effectiveness not that good. You really need quality. And certainly putting a big just like a water bottle on your head, a plastic bag, or Wellington boot, waste time. So last one actually I'm going to throw in is hand sanitizers. Sales gone up massively. Was a couple of quid and you're now getting eBay, Amazon, 20 quid, There's hand sanitizers help 100%. Hand sanitizers is as good as washing if they're over 6% alcohol. If they're over 6% alcohol, they'll kill the germs, kill the virus. Anything less, not going to be so effective, honestly. The next point I like to make is all conspiracy theories, all fake news are believed by some people. Someone believes in them. And some people will always believe in the craziest fake news and stories ever. It's similar to ideologies and religions. There are, every ideology of religion is followed by someone. New ideology of religion start all the time, but the bigger ones, the ones that grow slowly over time. A lot of it's about, does the conspiracy theory or the fake news fit into a person's individual contextual framing? If it reinforces their previous experiences, their beliefs, teachings, knowledge, attitudes, then they'll accept it more easily. But if there's a bit of conflict and resistance, it doesn't go into their framing, then they're probably less likely to believe it. So this contextual framing is really important as it depends on the extent that we question or accept newly posed ideas. How much evidence do we need to make us believe in something? So in the face of uncertainty, one of the greatest things we can do for ourselves and others is to mitigate our levels of anxiety and fear. You need to be a bit of a healthy questioning of information, healthy questioning of new ideas, healthy questioning of articles, but know who your sources, or credible sources are, and have a certain bit of trust. Fear is the enemy of peace. It's an enemy of truth. We must try and see things in a bit of a that rational, calmer way. So below follows now my top tips for telling truth from the fiction. So the first one is don't panic, don't overreact, don't act suddenly or extremely. If you hear something that's shocking, take a step back, because I'll give a couple of examples. The whole thing of toilet rolls. We often create the situations we fear by overacting when trying to prevent that situation. So there's a panic about stocks of certain things, running out, and so everyone panicked to buy toilet paper. And then what happened? Well, we ran out of toilet paper. So most people have trouble getting toilet paper because a few panicked and created a problem. And also, you can say sometimes the stock market where certain rumours, certain events happen, stockbrokers, investors, they fear the effect of shares, so they panic sell, and then shares drop in value, and what they feared happens. My tip 2 is follow credible source information. Government, maybe not. NHS, BBC. Be aware of unsubstantiated stories from one source or vague sources, particularly social media. Consume only the necessary amount of fear-based media. So, it's like when you read newspapers normally, there's a lot of negative news and you can see the world is full of crime. Global warming is going to kill the world in a few months, and yes, those things are big issues you need to know about, but actually there's a lot of good things happening, good stories. Balance it out. Tip 3 is to follow your gut feeling sometimes. So if your gut feeling says something's not right, it's not true, doesn't make sense, question it. Do a bit of fact checking. Don't take it just on the surface. Don't just assume something's correct because it's saying it's correct. Tip 4. In any situation in life, but particularly in moments of crisis, in moments of stress, keep mentally and physically fit and healthy. Because when we're stressed, we're not healthy physically or mentally, we're less able to focus. We make worse decisions. Our memory is affected, we're tired or stressed. So, make sure that we're coping in situations of change, we're coping in times of stress, we're making the right decisions, we're reading the right information, we're acting in the right way. Plan your day. Have a structure. Do you get exercise? If you can't get out, do you do exercise in the home? Do you eat healthily? Do you try and be healthy within your environment you can? Can you still socialize? We can't, we're supposed to be self-isolating. What about a video call? Can you still do a group chat with your friends, do a virtual social event? Do you communicate and socialize still within restrictions? Positive thinking, positive actions will help you have the right mindset to be able to focus and make good decisions. So focus on doing things that bring you that happiness, that joy, that contentment, and be grateful for what you have, rather than panicking about what you don't have, what you might lose. So make sure you participate and contribute to the community that was maybe physical world, now it's perhaps going to be online. Tip 5, the last tip here. So although we can't visit doctors or hospitals easily at the moment, workplaces are closing down, as the schools, libraries are closed, outlines are busier than ever, we can still watch the news and chat to friends. We can still use the internet. So there's always ways that you can get information. There's always ways you can check information and share information. And that is my 5 top tips for telling the truth from fiction. I hope that has been helpful, and just to end up by saying, do keep the TV on, do read the news, do keep chatting, but be positive. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Question things. Look at different sources. And situation crisis always pass. Throughout history, and will continue to do. We'll have the booms and the busts, the recessions, and the booming economy. We'll always have these viruses that come along every now and then. These are the challenges of the world. But let's not make misinformation and panic another thing to add to all the other challenges. Stay safe.